the game come into view. So, yep. And, the time will start in 3, 2, 1.
My liege, our king asks you
So,
to go
right off the
oversee
bat,
today's mining operation.
I guess if you've never seen this game before, the first thing you should know is there's a lot of launches. So the first one that we're going to see here is a VSync launch. And what that is changing your FPS from 30 to uncapped FPS. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow me to launch super high in the air and jump over that first room. It saves about 15 seconds, and yeah, it's right off the bat. It's a really nice skip. Skip's a pretty annoying part of the run. So, yep. Now we're just going to make our way down this hallway. Not much going on here. Gonna throw this rock, and then now I'm gonna drop in player 2. First example of 1v2c in this run. There's gonna be a lot of it, just to collect Minikits and all that sort of thing. And yeah, so our first Minikit is gonna be in this room right here, actually. We're gonna jump up onto these bars to open this door, and we're actually gonna have a really big skip here, one of the biggest in the game. It's called Gem Skip. It was the very first skip I ever found for this game, but what we're going to do is we're going to jump past a cutscene trigger and then drop out while we're past it. And what that does is it skips a camera pan that shuts this door right here that I'm right in, and it lets us walk straight to the transition without having to do a bunch of puzzles to reopen the door after it shuts during the camera pan. And then I also just walked off to the side there and collected a Minikit to the side, since it saves a little bit of time compared to the free play split. And yep, now we're unlocking a bunch of characters. Right there we get a flute and give it to Bomber. And this room is where we're gonna first see like resource management. So in this game there are resources like wood, different ores, that sort of thing. And you have to harvest them, and that's a really big part of especially the early game of this run. Yep. So, and then we have another thing that's basically exclusive to this game, aside from the Lego movie, and that's these builds. So, what I'm going to do here is you select a bunch of these pieces, and it builds these different tools that you use throughout the run. So here we're building an apparatus to let us go down the mountain. Yep, and then we're gonna break 3 different gems here, and it'll take us to the next room where we will do a lot more glitches to, yeah, get more Minikits.
Ever they delve deeper down into the dark, and that is where they found it.
So yeah, we're gonna have a big one right here, and this is going to be a story kit that saves a bunch of time to get the story, because getting this casually or something like that loses a bunch of time just because you have to activate a bunch of camera pans. So instead we're gonna launch over this whole area. And that's going to put us right above a Minikit. And now we're gonna launch over this barrier with player 1. Go over. And so now that may not look like it's skipping much, but actually if you've ever played this game casually, there's about like a minute of camera pans and playing right there that you have to go through. And so launching over those actually skips every single one, which is really nice. Next we're going to see another kind of launch called Alt-Tab launching, which is used to get over this wall here, which skips around a puzzle. Saves a very small amount of time. It can be a little inconsistent sometimes, but you should get it. There we go. And now, in this downtime with player 1, we're going to get this Minikit here by doing another Alt-Tab launch. Trying to get some resources. There we go. So, yeah, in this room, we're going to see another completely different tech that's not used anywhere else, actually. And doing some frame-perfect buffered jumps, you can actually move across this gold without having to play the level normally. But we're also going to collect some gold here for later, so that we don't have to get it in any later splits where it's actually a lot slower to get. And with my player 2 here, we're going to collect a Minikit on the side. So with some frame-perfect jumps, where I drop all directional inputs and jump frame perfectly, you can make your way across that gold. And it might sound hard, but since they're buffered, you can just refresh A mid-air and it works perfectly. So I guess now is another good time to talk about something that's really unique to this game, and that's one visits. So one visits for this game actually saves a lot of time and not that much time at all. For different reasons. The main one being you can enter different sections of the level in free play after you beat it in full. So the first 4 rooms at this level are actually one section, then the next 3 are another section that you can enter. So in free play, you don't have to go through all the way to the end to exit the level, if that makes any sense, and you'll kind of see that later. But so if you can collect all the mini-kits in a certain section, that actually saves a bunch of time, which we did in this level. So we won't have to come back to any of the second half of this level later.
That, my dear.
Now we're going to make our way using some 1P2C, and we're going to harvest some materials with player 2 while we walk over to the trigger.
The Hobbit is a curious creature, brave.
Which wheel are it?
I turn my volume down. And
Sit down here.
we'll make our way through this level. So this level is all about collecting resources about as quickly as possible. So yep, this level is basically an auto-scroller, but I really enjoy it, and it has a really cool skip at the end. So we need to collect around 15 of every single, or of 4 different kinds of resources: wood, rope, brick, and leather. And that will build us a dining table so that we can progress to the next part of the level. And we are also going to get a mini-kit here so that we don't have to get it in the free play section. And that is going to be building 3 treasure chests. We don't have quite enough resources yet. So we're going to go through, and we're going to build this treasure chest right after we build this dining table. Oh, and we are short 1 rock. Alright. That is really unfortunate. Because sometimes this is actually like a soft block. You have to exit and re-enter the level. Which I was hoping wouldn't happen, but I guess it did. Is there anything else we can break here? This doesn't give you anything usually. Alright. Well, that's not a good start, I guess. Oh, there's 1 rock right here. Never mind. So, yep. Now we can build this table. Using the same sort of thing that we saw in the first level, Greatest Kingdom, Middle Earth. And yeah, this one's a little tricky. All the pieces look pretty similar, but we got through it there. Alright. Now we are going to build this piece, because I don't think I did it. Yep. And we are going to bring the 3 dwarves different types of food while building this 3rd one.
I don't know. I'm just supposed to be seeing it's on blue. It's riddled with mold.
There we go. So now we have a really cool skip that I found myself when I first started running this game. And it's if you so usually you have to press a bunch of buttons to get through this section. 3 buttons randomly selected, and then they pass the plate on to the next person. But if you drop out and then re-drop in right away, you can actually skip pressing those buttons, and it saves around 20 seconds, which is really cool. And there's a really specific window for when you can and can't drop out, but yeah, it's not super specific, but it takes a little getting used to. So, but I've hit everyone so far, which is really nice. This is one of the more boring levels, but we have some really interesting and exciting ones coming up. Alright, so here we are going to do a Alt-Tab launch right off the bat to skip a bunch of hub movement and to take a nicer line to the trigger. And we're going to drop out player 2 so that he'll actually warp to player 1 here. And when that happens, he'll be a lot closer to a bunch of resources in a certain house that we need for later on in the run. So we're going to go in this house right here with player 2. And we're just going to start breaking stuff. So all this food and everything that we see here, we're going to need that on later on, aside from the bread, which we don't really use in all Minikits at least. We're going to break these last couple things, get the wood. It's much faster just to get it right here. Then we're going to go on the level.
After a long journey through the Shire and
So this level is definitely a crazy one. It's one of my favorites. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a desync launch right away on this rock. And we're going to fly all the way up to the top here. Oh, I overshot it. We're going to fly all the way up to the top here and get an apple, which skips a bunch of dwarf stacking, which is a tech in this game that you use where all the dwarves can buddy up and go on top of each other. But it's really slow, so this launch is much faster, even though I'm missing it a bunch now. Oh, wow. Alright. This one is pretty tricky. Getting the roll in order to launch on this rock is pretty tricky. There we go. So yeah, now we're going to grab this apple. And now we get to the next room, which is the fun one. In this next room, we're going to see an example of out-of-bounds triggers. And so this trigger that we're going to hit will end the level straight away, which is really cool, and it saves around 4 minutes. So first what we're going to do is we're going to buddy up launch, which is, I guess, a tech that we haven't seen yet. But what you're going to do is, in this game, you can, if you are a dwarf or hobbit character, you can grab a teammate and pick them up, and you become sort of like one big hitbox. And then when you do that around very specific collision, it'll actually launch you upwards. So what I'm trying to do now is I launched up to this area, and I'm trying to hit this trigger. And it's a little tricky, but it will end the level, and it saves a lot of time. It's really cool. I did not find the trigger, but I did find this specific method to hit it, which is really cool. But basically you have to hit it while moving mid-air, and it all depends on the height that you get and the momentum that you have going down, so it does take a lot of practice. There we go. So, yep, that's Azog the Defiler. That's one of the shortest levels in the entire game right there.
The company cleared their camp and continued on their...
So now we're going to do a little 1p2 so you can move over to the trigger for this next level right here. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to harvest a couple more resources here. Not that many because we got a lot in the earlier, but... Yep, so we're going to hit this pillar to go across. And then we're going to swap to... we're going to swap to Gandalf here with player 1. And we're going to alt-tab launch with him, because wizards in this game, wizards and elves get much better launches than hobbits and dwarves. So, especially in a lot of free play splits, or places where I have a choice, I'll opt to launch with a wizard or elf rather than a hobbit. But in a lot of these early levels, you don't really have a choice, so we go with hobbits. In that specific one, though, we do have access to Gandalf, which makes it really nice. So now we're in this level, Roast Mutton. It's kind of a boring one, but what we're going to do is we are going to... In this section, you're supposed to skip, or you're supposed to rescue 2 ponies that got stolen by some trolls. And instead, we're only going to rescue the last one, because that's the end condition for this section. So we can launch over a barrier that's you're not supposed to be able to go over yet. We're just going to completely sequence break this. And yeah, this saves 30, or around 40 seconds, I believe. Which is really cool. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all we do here. So we are going to get a mini kit in this section here. There is actually a way to completely beat this section, getting all the mini kits is sort of like a one visit for this part of the level, but it is really hard, and it is not a fun story kit to get. It only saves around 30 seconds, and usually it takes me like a minute on average to get it, so I don't do it. What I was doing there is I was getting a mini kit that I shot down out of an arrow from a tree, and I'm harvesting gold for later, which is really important for the next split. But I should have plenty enough now. So now we are going to shoot this target on top of this troll, and it will drop a nest onto his head, and we'll finish that section there. So now we're going to see another tech here. If you spin attack with a flail, it actually saves a bunch of time in these forced rolling sections, which we saw earlier in the level. I guess I didn't really mention that, but there are a lot of sections in this game where you are forced to sort of do this rolling and crawling thing, which is really slow, but the flail allows you to kind of break out of that by moving at a normal walking speed, pretty much. So in this section, you just focus a lot of your movement on, just moving through here with the flail. Plus you get to this area with the target where you unlock the bow, and we are going to build something to rescue this dwarf in the tree. And now, since there's downtime with player 1, we can grab this mini kit over here so we don't have to come back to free play, which is really nice.
This little ferret is taking us for food.
And so you'll see a lot of what I do in these first couple levels is really focused on materials, and really after the first 5 levels, there's not much of that left. you don't really have to worry about materials because there aren't a lot of builds anymore, and most of the builds can be skipped. So yeah, materials are really only a thing for the first 5 levels, but they're really important. So now we're just gonna switch to Gandalf here and end the level.
Who's that?
So now we have this level, which is called the Troll Horde, where they're exploring. So they turned all of those trolls into stone, and now they're going to explore this area where all of the trolls live. So, yeah, there's a lot of gold, and they'll find a bunch of swords in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to collect a lot of resources outside of the cave, because we need to build a key to get in, which we will, sort of as a joke, throw into the door. And this build right here is basically what all of the resource gathering in the first couple levels is focused on, because this requires all the gold that you get in the 1st and 4th level, and then a bunch of gems that you get in other places. So now, before I enter this level, I'm actually going to collect some bronze that we need in this level, coming up right here, because it's a lot faster to get it here than anywhere else. Now that we have it all, I'm going to jump into this
The
room.
wisdom of Gandalf is seldom incorrect.
And yeah, so this split is just a lot of 1P2C. It's kind of hard to explain what's going on. It's really they're just trying to get to 3 different chests that will defend different weapons, mainly swords, I think. And they get to all of them in pretty different ways.
These swords are not made by any troll.
There are lots of little things in this level that are kind of hard to notice, but like just there I did a tiny little skip where I skipped an animation of him lighting up the cave, just by double jumping through it. So this is a really complex 1P2C actually, with a lot kind of going on. Nope. Alright, I did not want that to happen. So now we're going to overlap building this with doing a cutscene, because in these camera pans you can usually build an object through them. And now we're going to overlap getting these last 2 weapons right here, because the camera pans are pretty long. So now we're going into another room, and this is the section that we will visit all the mini kits for, because it is slightly faster than coming back. So in this section, you kind of miss it because we skipped the cutscene, but this new wizard, Radagast, is come to warn the whole party that they are being tracked down by wargs. So. And then we're going to grab this mini kit right here. We're going to do a Alt-Tab launch to get up top to this area. And we're going to break these sunflowers right here, because this gives you a mini kit. And now we're gonna grab the rest of these sunflowers real quick while we break this bush in order to give us a couple more resources. Looks like what we needed was rope. And we're gonna heal this second to last rabbit. And I guess we'll start putting resources in here. And it looks like we're really short on rope, which I did not expect. But yeah, luckily this respawns right here to give us a little bit more. Oh. So yeah, now we've collected every mini kit, or yeah, every mini kit in this section. So now we're going to push this little turnstile here, and this will lower the final rabbit down onto the ground so that I can heal him with Radagast. So now, yeah, I'm going to grab this bronze here because we will need it. And so now we are in this section where we will grab 3 mini kits. Not every single one because they're not all possible, but we are going to get as many as we can because it's faster to just get a couple here. So one of them is just hitting these 3 things in the auto scroller on the left. And then one will get on the right side. Yep, and then we get 2 in the auto scroller and then 1 on the right side. So here I did a spin launch, which is a new kind of launch on the left side, where you just get in tight collision and then spin, and then it will launch you out in some scenarios. I'm going to do a V-sync launch here on that slope in order to get Gandalf up here in the downtime during this auto scrolling, and then he's going to collect the mini kit so that I don't have to get it later. We need to wait for the iframes to end, and then... Yep. So now I'm going to stand in a really specific spot with player 2. And it'll activate a camera pan as soon as this area, as soon as the auto scroller is finished. This is one of the only dual sections in this game. And it's not skippable, unfortunately, because you can hit the out-of-bounds trigger, but it just soft blocks you. So yeah, we can just quick kill that boss because we're out of bounds, so we can just melee attack him instead of using a bow, which is pretty cool. And now we're on to Overhill and Underhill, which is one of, by far, the most broken levels. We're going to swap player 1 to Gandalf in preparation because his role is the fastest way of moving. We're going to get some cutscenes. And now, while player 1 moves to a cutscene that we need to trigger in order to progress the story, we're going to harvest some resources in the downtime, which is really nice. We need, I believe, 10 wood and 5 rope. So this should give me some rope, maybe. Oh. Break this bush, and then what we're going to do is we are going to drop out player 2 so that he warps to player 1. We're going to do it right here. And now they're going to spawn in front of me right here, which which is where we're going to do a launch to activate a cutscene early. So normally what you have to do in this section is you have to walk up a really long staircase, which takes forever to climb, which obviously is pretty slow. So we can skip it with a launch by launching onto a cliff above it and then falling into it just barely. And we got a really high launch there, which I'm not used to. Hopefully it's not infinite height, but I don't think it is. It is not. Launched very high though, as you can see. This is the entire map. There we go. So it's probably not saving much time anymore, but what we're going to do is we are landing out of bounds on top of these cliffs. We are going to fall into the trigger very precisely. Kind of a hard trick, but there we go. Got it first try. Now we're going to move into the trigger for the level. So this level is going to have a lot of different kinds of launches, and we're basically just going to skip everything by launching. So first we're going to get a vertical buddy up here, and so usually vertical buddy ups are bad, the ones where they're stacked on top of each other's shoulders because they don't give as many launches, but in this specific scenario, it'll help us launch in this specific area. We can just kind of abuse some weird collision to launch way over these rocks, which I guess did not work there, unfortunately. I went too far forward, but hopefully we can get it again pretty quickly. This launch is very finicky. I was happy that I got it really quickly and then I missed it. It gives really varying heights too. Sometimes you'll go really high and sometimes you'll go really low. So that's the first kind. And now we're going to see another kind, a spin launch, where we get into some tight collision and then launch over this, which skips a pretty decently long camera pan. And now we're going to do a V-sync launch to get over this pretty annoying barrier. Nice. Now we're going to hit the trigger, and so that skips like 4 or 5 minutes of gameplay, which is really cool. So now we're going to do some more V-sync launches, because this is technically a slope right here. We're going to get up to a specific point on the giant, where we can now launch up to an unloaded arm. It's going to look like we're launching on nothing, actually. It's going to look like we're walking on nothing in a little bit. But it's actually his arm while all the textures are unloaded, and we'll actually see a couple more skips like this. But we're walking on an unloaded arm that we'll come back to later, but this allows us to skip a bunch of camera pans and annoying puzzles. Now we're going to buddy up and walk to the end of the level. Or towards the end of the section. Level's not quite over yet. And I'm going to 1P2C grabbing that Minikit. And we're going to hit this little trigger right here. So now we have to hit this little axe plate while buddying up. And this will end this little section right here. And we will go on to another kind of pointless, if I'm being honest, pointless section, where all you have to do is press the X button on both controllers about 15 times. Makes sense for the story, but it's not fun to play through. So now we have Goblin Town, which is the longest level in the run. And we won't get any Minikits in it because it ends up being a lot faster to just get them all in free play. But it has a lot of skips. Casually, this level can be up to like 30 minutes long. So thankfully we can skip a lot of that. That's really unfortunate. I don't know why I fell there. This is really annoying to, this rock face is really annoying to climb up, or the former rock giant, stone giant. It's really annoying to climb up because you're intended to have 30 or 60 FPS doing it, and I'm doing it with unlimited FPS, which makes you jump a lot lower. Oh my gosh. Alright, so yeah, this actually doesn't give you a respawn, so when you die there, it takes you all the way down. So now we have to climb all the way back up again, which loses a lot of time, unfortunately. It's really annoying. Sometimes the vertical buddy up animation pushes you really far and takes a long time to get. You can see there. Which kind of sucks. It's one of the reasons why you almost always prefer the horizontal buddy up. Because it is just a lot more convenient for launching and just using in general, where you have to. So now we are in the Goblin Tunnels, or below the Goblin Tunnels, in the story at least, and we are going to do some launches here to basically skip this entire section. We're going to do something called catapult skip, and usually you have to build a catapult here. You're going to have to build a catapult here to open this door, but thankfully we can go straight through it. Now we're going to do a riddle skip, which is a really famous, or infamous skip in this game. It used to be only one try, but it saves a lot of time. Thankfully there's a consistent setup for it now. But basically you skip, there are usually 3 riddles in this section, and now you skip all of them, or all except the last, by jumping and activating the last section early, which you aren't usually able to do. Barely have enough resources there, but we got it. Wait. So now we are fighting the Goblin King of Goblin Town. So we're gonna buddy up because that'll allow us to insta-kill most of these guys. And so another thing we're gonna try to do in this level is we're gonna try to get 0 studs, and this is the first one where it's actually pretty easy to save time with it. So basically in the status screens there are a bunch of there's a screen where it shows how many studs you collected in the level, but if you end the level with no studs collected, which is really cool. Good, we got the fast animation there. So yeah, it saves around 4 seconds to end the level with no studs. So you'll see me like jump off of a bunch of ledges, trying to kill my other players. In this level, and that's just to end the level with a lot fewer studs. I missed a cycle skip there, unfortunately. But I still got it. Yeah, so yeah, there's just an example of me killing him right there, just to try to lower his stud count. Thankfully there's an auto-scroller towards the end of the level where you can just jump off of an edge over and over again to die, but it's nice to sort of lower it here where it doesn't lose that much time. Yeah, It's a kind of an annoying boss fight. He's constantly throwing things at you and it unbuddies you up. And it's all kind of the result of VSync being off, because this game obviously really wasn't tested with VSync off. As seeing as you can launch basically anywhere casually just by being buddied up. I'm gonna turn the vibration off because for some reason it is on. Yeah, so for this last box, to do the last bit of damage to him, we're going to use Gandalf here above his head, and then we're going to get into one of the most interesting and skip-filled sections of this game. And yeah, there's a lot going on in this bit, but it is really cool. Yeah, so to start, we're just going to head over here. Pretty tame. Just use wall and hammer to break through that barrier. Lower this battering ram. Push through all these goblins, and then I'm going to use player 2 to... I'm going to jump on some extra collision there and jump into the next section, which saves building a crank. I honestly haven't played that area in so long I forget what it does. I know it saves time. And we're going to do an alt-tab launch here. We're going to actually walk on some gray rocks. And these rocks, they look decorative, but they actually all have collision that you can walk on, which is really convenient because this is a long section with a ton of camera pans. So actually being able to skip this saves a lot. It's a really consistent way too. The old way of skipping it was really terrible. So now we're going to get to a skip called Goblin Town Skip, which basically unloads the entire last part of this level, which is really cool, and it lets you walk straight to the trigger. Usually there's going to be a bunch of goblins blocking the way and a couple puzzles. But by doing this, we're actually... So the intended transition is like kind of front of me, but by skipping that, it actually unloads the textures all the textures for this next section aren't loaded yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch past all this. It was a really high launch because I forgot to change VSync to on. But we're going to launch past all of this, and we're going to do a tech that we probably haven't seen yet. I don't think I've done it, but it's called buddy up hovering. And what you can do is basically you can get infinite distance in this game anywhere by spamming the attack button without holding any direction. So as long as you're not holding any direction while you are in the middle of the attack cycle, you can move. And then if you change directions sort of at the end, you can go whichever, you can kind of change where you're hovering, which is really cool. So now you can see, like, we're just kind of walking on nothing here, kind of like Overhill and Underhill on that unloaded arm. It basically keeps a bunch of orcs from spawning, skips a couple puzzles, and I'm just navigating on some invisible textures, and we can hit the trigger to end the level, or end that section. So now we're in this other annoying Goblin King boss fight. So we're just going to keep on jumping off this edge here. And this boss fight is actually like really terrible. There are some cycles that you can skip, but it's really hard, and the Goblin King can kind of just not be nice and make you lose minutes even if you're not careful. So now, I dropped out player 2 there for a really specific reason, and that's because you can skip some cycles of this fight right here. By standing in a really specific spot. I don't know why it happens, but you can get him to quit jumping here. There we go. I skipped the very last one there. not ideal, but it skips an entire cycle of him telling you to kill a bunch of his orc minions. So yeah, now he's going to send out a bunch more. I'm going to kill them with a spin attack, and then I'm just going to continue jumping off the edge in order to get 0 steps. And if the Minikits in this section could be collected in story, it would save around 3 minutes, which is kind of crazy, but unfortunately, one of them is possible, but really annoying, and one of them is just straight up impossible. So that will likely never be a reality. So now we are going to be in this auto scroller here, and we're just going to jump off the edge of them. And this will get us to 0 studs, and you'll see in the cutscene, or in the status screen, there won't be any one that shows how many studs you collected this level. Which saves around 4 seconds every level that you get 0 studs in. So yep, now we can just sort of stand still in this area, and we won't collect anymore. Yep, skipped right past it there. So now we go on to a really interesting level. There's another instance, one of the only other out-of-bounds doors that we'll see in this game. It's a very recent skip, one of the most recent skips found in a long time. Basically, we just have an auto-scroller here. We're going to collect a Minikit off the left. And yeah, just basically make our way through this auto scrolling. We can also get 0 studs in this level, which will do save another 4 seconds, which is cool. So yeah, I don't know if my FPS display is on screen, but it's at 60 FPS. It's locked at 60 FPS for multiple reasons. One is to prevent crashing, and the other is because it'll make hitting this trigger really easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this infinite distance switch again. And we are just going to hover off this edge, and it looks like I'm doing absolutely nothing, but I'm just going to hit a random end level, or end section thing right there. And that saves a massive amount of time. And it just looks really stupid, but so yeah, I'm going to collect some resources in this section, and I'm also going to try to pick up all the studs and then die so I don't risk picking any up later. But yeah, that trigger earlier in the level is one of my favorites. It's really nice that we can skip that whole section, especially since we didn't know that trigger existed until, yeah, very recently. So now there's not much going on here. I'm just going to jump off the edge a lot with player 2 in order to get down to 0 studs. So now, once Azog throws down this third rock thing, he's going to jump down. I believe that was the second. Once he throws the third one down, he will jump back, and we'll be able to finish this section of the fight. And yeah, so we're almost done with this first movie here. This is the last level of the first movie of this game. So now we can quick kill these guys riding orcs by jump slamming them. 1v2 shooting it, and it does enough partial damage to just insta-kill them. Which is speeds it up, and we have to kill 10 of these guys. Now I'm gonna take one last death with player 2 here. Now that'll put me in a nice place to get 0 studs for this level. So, yep, that's the first movie, ended right there. We're gonna skip a couple cutscenes and then jump off this edge right here. So yeah, it pretty quickly goes straight into the next movie. And, oops. Camera's pretty bad here, but we're going to use Gandalf to jump roll since it's the fastest movement in the game, aside from using a horse or something like that, which we don't have unlocked yet. We will have those after this level, and we'll use them basically in every hub.
An ill feeling.
In this auto-scroller, there are 3 Minikits, which we are going to all get because this auto-scroller is really long, and it means that we don't have to come back later and revisit them. And yeah, because you can enter different sections of this game, oh my gosh, I just missed that one. I guess we'll go back and get that. I thought I was holding left, but I guess not. I'll come back and grab that one later since we're already here. I'll grab that in free play. Hopefully I don't forget. But yeah, there's one right there, and the other one will also be on the left side here. But yeah, that's kind of ironic. But I won't have to come back here and visit free play, but yeah. I'm gonna, yeah, so this section, this level is really short. It's just a little 1v2c with some camera pans, and that's pretty much all there is to it. It's a pretty easy one. It's a interesting level to try to optimize. So eventually, this key that we're trying to chase down is going to end up on the roof, and what we're going to do is we're going to launch up there with Gandalf instead of doing a whole other quest in order to, yeah, skip a whole another couple camera pans in part of this level. We're going to do that by doing an Alt-Tab launch right here. There, perfect. And now we're going to complete this bit in order to put the key on the roof while Gandalf is falling. And he lands basically in the perfect spot. I'm going to pick up the key and then just end the level right here. Alright, next up we have Flies and Spiders, which is a really tough level. It has a lot of really punishing launches that save a lot, but are very easy to miss. So we'll see how those go. So yep, now in the story, because Beorn is a animal lover, he lets us use the horses. So now we have horses unlocked and we can use them in every hub.
The elven gates of Mirkwood stood before.
So, yep, first we're going to do another buddy up launch right here. And this will skip a couple sections. We're going to try to move really carefully. This one takes us really high, and I'm not going to try to risk it. And
We are lost.
oh, wow. Okay, that I did not expect that to put me where it did. So the issue with that launch right there is it can boost you in different directions, so you never get a consistent setup for it. So it's really just luck how quickly you get it and where you end up with it. I missed that V-Sync launch right there. So basically there's a whole long quest that you're supposed to do here using Gandalf and Ori, where you have to shoot a bunch of targets. It's slow, not very fun, so instead we're just going to launch through it all. Using these V-Sync launches and all these random little slopes. Just by changing FPS in a really specific part of the animation, you can just start flying. Oh, overshot it. It doesn't usually happen for that launch. Now this one might be too low. Hopefully not. Nope. Perfect. Now this is an annoying section right here. So basically we have to avoid the spiders. And we do that by using Bilbo's ring. And there is actually a way to skip this all. You can do this all with one player, which is slightly faster, but it's really difficult, so I'm not gonna go for those here. So basically we are going to try to free three of these 5 dwarves in order to progress. We are going to get a mini kit here while we're at it. We're going to try to, at least. It's a pretty tricky one. It can be finicky, but we're going to try to do an alt-tab launch. Oh, we got it first try. That's cool. That doesn't usually happen, but it saves a tiny bit of time later on. So now we're going to skip freeing dwarves number 3 and 4 and go straight to number 5, which will end the section. Usually you'd have to fight a bunch of spiders, which is really slow and activates a couple camera pans. It's just annoying. So instead we can launch up to this last one. Do that. So now we have to fight 3 spiders and free a couple dwarves. And so we're going to 1v2C all this because it's fast. I'm going to try to overlap a couple camera pans. Too. Really quick section. So yeah, now we're out of the woods, out of Mirkwood, and we are going to head into the Elven Kingdom. I'll tab out real quick. Alright. So now we're gonna go to this campfire, and it's gonna change the time of day, and kind of complicated, but basically that will allow us to skip a cutscene later on in the run. Now, using the horses that we unlocked, we can head straight to this level trigger for barrels out of bond. so basically using the campfire to change the time of day, put some elves that were guarding this gate to sleep, and that lets us skip a full cutscene where they tell us that they're tired, but they won't let anybody through until they fall asleep or something like that. So we get to skip all that.
Infiltrating the halls of the elves is a risk.
Now we get some 1P2C, and we're going to free 3 barrels to let the captive lords out of the kingdom. We're going to get a pretty cool story kit here, too. Alright, so now we're going to do a launch, collect this mini kit right here, and this one is slightly fast just because it's the only mini kit in this section, so you don't have to visit later. We're going to use this bow to lower the last barrel, and we should be set for this section. So yeah, we actually collect a lot of mini kits in this level. We get 6, I believe. Yeah, and this section also intended this section is really long, but we can actually skip straight to there are multiple ways, but you can skip straight to this end, the end of this section by just doing a buddy up launch like that, and it skips having to kill a bunch of armored orcs, and it lets us just, completely skip that. So now we are just gonna be going sort of in this circle. I'm gonna have to kill 4 orcs that jump on our barrels, but there is a way to get some really quick cycles here, and that's done by making it so that all these dwarves and the barrels pinch sort of the inside line, and that allows us to travel fast enough to hit some really tight cycles in order to get some orcs to jump on the barrels faster. The sooner we can do that, the sooner we can kill them. And, yeah. Speed run. Uh-oh. Okay, that's not good. We might not hit it now. Still might, just because this new setup is really good, but... Still got it. That's really good. So yep. So now that we've killed those 3, we are gonna be sort of teleported into an area that we're gonna collect 3 minikits in. So this section is a really important one to get all the minikits in story, because it's really long to get to this area in free play. Because you have to play through, you have to go around in all those circles in free play to get the orcs. There's no teleporting straight to this little area right here. So it's really important that we get these, and it saves a bunch of time. It's really fortunate that you're able to get all of these in story. Honda, that's not quite the case, because there's a treasure item that you need to collect. So you have to come this far, but... I'm gonna kill some of these guys in the downtime. Wait for this last orc to come over here. And by killing that, we get another mini kit. We're gonna end this section by jump slamming this. So now we have 2 more mini kits in this area. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to kill all these orcs, but we're going to wait a little bit. And we're going to break free 5 beehives, and that's going to give us the last mini kits that we need for this section. We want to sort of gradually kill them so that we have, so as soon as we are able to destroy the last beehive, all we have to do is kill 1. Nice, alright. So we got that mini kit. That's one that's just standing there. Which is pretty tough to get, but I think it's pretty consistent with the dwarf that's on the barrel. I'm not totally sure about that, but... yeah, this was actually a pretty good barrels out of bombs. So 1 more beehive left to go. Two orcs, so we'll shoot this last one right here. Now we just wait for the beehive to come into sight, which is right around this corner right here. There we go. We can end it right as we shoot that last one, and now we don't have to visit this area of the level at all. Now we're on to Lake Town. We escaped from the elves. And yeah, we just head over to this sort of town that's built on water. Which is a big plot point, especially in the 3rd movie, which isn't a part of this game, unfortunately. But it does have a whole level devoted to it.
Sorry, but we've been told to keep the town entrance clear for a fishing barge that's due in. So unless you've got fish in those barrels, I'm afraid you'll have to wait.
And using 1P2C, you can actually save a lot of time here because you can activate a specific trigger into this level really early, which is nice because using the boats to get everywhere is really slow. Yeah, so it activated the level right away there, which usually would not happen if you weren't 1P2Cing it. Now we're going to use pretty much the only buddy stack I think we ever use in any runs ever. But yeah, they're all jumping on top of each other in order to climb into a window. This right here is one of the most complex 1P2Cs in the game. We are going to, yeah, we have to overlap a bunch of camera pans. In order to collect everything as quickly as possible. Lower this ladder. We're going to do a jump there. Now, I'm gonna do this real quick. Overlap collecting those 2 weapons right there. I need to swap to Ori up here. Just doesn't. There we go. Yep, so we're just overlapping a bunch of camera pans here. It looks like I'm not doing anything, but it's actually sending more guards into this area. And routed really specifically so that you have that character with the bow at the end. So, yep, that's the first section. It's really hard and it's not routed really well, but I haven't really put enough time into it to figure out the best way to play that room. This room, we're going to get a couple Minikits. The story part of this is all about healing some herbs from a pig, because they have healing properties. Because one of the dwarves has is wounded, his wound is poisoned. So yeah, we're gonna get one Minikit by breaking a bunch of crab cages. And then, yep, we're gonna get another one that's in a animal pen. So yep, we opened all the animal cages, which you have to. It always spawns the pig in last, no matter which cage you do last. So, yeah, you have to open them all. But it gives us some time to collect some Minikits. And we have a last section, which is elves fighting the son of Azog, the big orc that we hit the trigger to skip completely, actually. There are some ways to skip this section, but they are extremely difficult. There is an M level trigger, which is kind of hittable, but it is extremely difficult in order to hit it, so. If the trigger was facing the opposite direction, it actually would be really easy to hit, which would be cool because you could use it and it would save quite a bit of time, but fortunately that's not the case. It's really only a free play thing. We're gonna do some parkour here and skip this arrow. You don't have to shoot it. We're gonna head down to this next section. We got these 4 archers, and then we're gonna 1v2C grabbing this kit. Usually you can only get it in free play, but you can get it just by jumping on some silly little collision. Killing the other player there just to make sure they are at full hearts for the next fight, because the orcs here can be really annoying to kill. Taking a death there is not a good place to take a death. Unfortunately, the water doesn't kill you, so Zero Studs isn't really an option. But yeah, you can launch off of this boat right here. I'll try it once as a joke, but you can just hit a trigger. There's a trigger. It's a lot lower than where I launched, but yeah, completely miss it. Sort of right above me right here. I've hit it once in vanilla, but I imagine someday there will be a setup for it, but I wasn't able to find a good one. So now we're getting to an exciting part, which is actually something that we haven't seen yet. we're actually going to be able to skip basically an entire level by entering the last room in story. So basically, what you're supposed to do to enter this level is you're supposed to heal a bird, which will open a bridge to a trigger to enter this level. But instead, we're going to skip that, and we're not going to hit the trigger they want us to. We're actually going to hit a trigger that's inbounds, and it's going to take us
Gandalf
to
and Radagast
the
stood
very
before
last
the
section of this
sheriff.
level, which is really cool. So now, I just sort of jumped into something, and it took me to a random area, but this is actually the last room of the level right here. So there aren't really any mini-kits that you can get easily in story in this level, so it just is a lot easier to just enter that level straight away. Enter the third room because it's so easy. So yeah, not really any consequences for it or anything. We just entered that level. So now we're story progresses as normal into now we're ready to just head to level 14 right here, which is the Necromancer. You have 2 wizard levels where you're only the wizards, and they're pretty fun levels. Although in this category you do skip most of the first one, which I just did there. Yeah, this level has a lot of 1v2s, especially in the first room. You skip a lot of it, but yeah, you just kind of make your way through this area. There is a way to skip this full gate, but it's not very convenient, and there's a mini kit that we can get instead that kind of justifies not going for it. We're going to come over here, and we're going to jump off on some loose collision. Just jump into this mini kit right here. There we go. And now we can launch over this gate using a V-Sync launch. Hit the transition from behind, right here. And we're on to the next room. That skip saves quite a bit. But now we're fighting Azog here. There are some story kits that you can get in this section that save a little bit of time, but they're not really worth getting because they can risk a soft lock, and there's also a mini kit right here in this dig spot. We don't have a character with a shovel that can dig them up, and if we did have some way to dig that up, the story kits would actually save a lot of time, but since that mini kit there exists, we're not able to get it. It would definitely be a cool addition to the run, but it's not something that can happen as of now. I am going to grab this kit over here in the corner, as it saves a little time to just get now and not later. And this is another level where we're gonna get 0 stars. There are a lot of ledges that can jump off here. We're already at a really low step count, so it's pretty nice. boss fight, there's not really much going on. It's just you have Sauron just sort of throwing down these little comets, and every fifth one you can build into a statue, which will do a third of the damage to them. So mainly it's just waiting around, collecting all the studs, and then dying over and over again. Yeah, so basically you can just deflect them outwards with your shield, and protect yourself. And then you just have the other person dealing with the orcs and all that sort of thing. Taking the second statue right now. One P2C is really nice for this fight because you can just move the other person right up next to the statue. It saves time and makes the targeting for them a lot nicer as well, because sometimes those the statues are really hard to target. So anyway, we're gonna take some more deaths with mainly player 1 here, just because he has the most studs. Last phase right here. So you're gonna see me collect a couple studs and then walk off the edge just in time, in order to get 0 studs, which is really cool. This is the level that it was first discovered in, actually. Oh, that sucks. That orc is really annoying. And I don't actually have any studs, so never mind. So that was one of the more boring levels, but now we have a really quick and interesting one. It can be beat really quickly. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do a buddy up launch around a icicle. This one's called Icicle Launch. And it's going to help us take a really straight line to the trigger. Usually you'd have to walk into this city of Dale, or the ruins of it. And it's a really curvy, like, just zigzag line, the trigger, whereas this lets us walk just directly to it, which is a lot faster.
The company had arrived at the main gates of the one.
And then now we're going to do a buddy up launch. That's gonna take us over. Oop. Okay, that didn't take me very far. I guess we'll do it this way. Sometimes you can launch all the way to the end trigger here, but it looks like I didn't get it. So we'll do this sort of back up instead. Nice. That's what you want to see. Now we're going to see another kind of launch here, which isn't used anywhere else, which is a punch launch. And while punching, you can, in really steep slopes, you can gain a bunch of height for some reason, and then once you get up here. And now, by swapping really specifically, you can get 0 studs.
Break it down! Go on!
That was actually really good. So we should get 0 studs here. Yep. And yeah, we get that end mini kit because that's the only one. That's the only one in that section, so it's in a pretty convenient location too that lets you get 0 studs.
The last
So now we're heading into the last level, one of the longer ones. It has one of the coolest story kits, a very recent find.
The company passed into the mountain through the secret door.
I did not come to steal from Smaug, the
This section is going to show off a lot of a new kind of launch again. Oops, I gotta get this person up here. In these forced rolling sections on really straight edges, you can kind of boost. You can boost off of them with a really specific roll and a lot of FPS, which is pretty sick, and it allows you to skip most of this section.
fall utterly short.
And we're going to grab this flail because it allows you to, you don't actually need it with all the skips that you can do, but it allows you to move a lot faster.
No, indeed. You seem familiar with my...
So now what we're going to do is we're going to head to another boost that you can do right here. And what we're doing is we're heading towards an unskippable cutscene right here. And it's actually unskippable because it's not really a cutscene at all. It's sort of an in-game movie. Kind of like a really weird camera pan or something like that. But,
Through the air, I am he who walks unseen.
yeah, you can't actually skip it with No Cut 5. So, yeah, it's just gonna basically play for a minute and 40 seconds or something. I'm struggling to get this boost, but yeah, basically you can boost past that. Now we're gonna launch over the chandelier to skip a camera pan. You can usually do with some alt tabs. Maybe not. You can also do it by spinning into the chandelier. A lot easier on 60 FPS. And we're going to do one final boost to skip a camera pan right here and put us right next to the end of the level, or end of this section. And then I will be right back. I'm going to take a bathroom break.
Tell me, thief, how do you choose to die? My teeth are swords. My claws are spears. My wings are a hurricane.
So it is true. The Black Arrow found its mark.
What did you say?
I was just saying, your reputation precedes you, O Smaug the tyrannical. Truly, you have no equal on this earth.
The Arkenstone. Did you find it?
The plan's not gonna work. These furnaces are stone cold.
We've no fire hot enough to set them ablaze.
Have we not?
I did not look to see you so easily outwitted.
You have grown slow and fat in your dotage. Slug. Take cover. Go!
Get those bellows working.
Alright, so now that we're in this section, I can talk about it a little bit. This section has 3 mini-kits, and it used to... there used to be a way to get all 3, but it was really terrible and hard. But I recently found a new method to get a kit in a dark cave, which you can't usually collect or unlock, which I'll show off here. And it saves around 20-30 seconds But what we're going to do is we're going to, while buddied up, we're going to walk over here, get this specific camera angle. We're going to do a setup to get in this very precise spot out of bounds. And we're going to sort of come back in towards this area where you're supposed to go. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change VSync to 30. And you could kind of see a Minikit in this cave earlier, but by manipulating the camera, by standing in a specific spot, I'm going to stand right here and walk. And by standing in that spot out of bounds, let me walk into the cave and sort of clip into it from the side, which is really precise, but it saves a lot of time. It's also just a really cool little glitch. So now we're going to collect one last Minikit here.
Olin, can you still mix a blast flame?
So what we're going to do is we're going to target these three things, and then we're going to retarget them again to collect the Minikit. Usually you only have to do it once to progress the story, but they left a pretty tricky one in where you have to figure out that you have to do it again twice. So you have to make the pattern red, blue, red. And then we're gonna get some, we're gonna get the story kit here. Oh, I guess we didn't get this one. Good thing I caught that. So now we're going to throw some fireballs at Smog, collect 2 kits in the end room, and that'll be it for the story portion, and then we just go back and free play and clean everything up. So what we're going to do here is we're going to collect some story kits so that we don't have to come back here. And they barely save any time, but I think they're really cool, so I just include them in the run anyways. So what we're going to do is we are going to do a spin launch right there. And we're going to land on top of a barrier that we can hover from into a Minikit, so that we don't have to come back and grab it, because it is at the very top, so it's kind of hard to get to. But if I get a lucky enough spin launch, I should get in a good spot. Yep, so now I can start hovering. We collect that one there. Now we can just end the level. And that's going to be the story section right there. So yep, that's 16 levels played, and now we're just going to go back and grab all the Minikits that we didn't get in story. First, what we have to do is we're going to buy... You only have to buy one character, actually. There used to be an old route that bought 2, but it's a lot faster to just get this one now. Apply to... Not there. Dol Guldur. Yep, apply to Dol Guldur, and then we're going to drop out this guy here, so we can do a tiny little warp. Now we can swap to him, and while we're doing that, we can get ready to enter the first free play split right away, which is out of the frying pan. And that's for a really specific reason, and that's because you can get the fire pine cone, which you need for a lot of free play splits. Basically every free play split, actually. And once this disappears, we can enter the level. Oops. And we're gonna pick Sam because he can use the fire.
As they trod through the forest, a sense of
So yeah, basically for these free play splits, it's just kind of rushing the Minikits, using the characters that you need. It's a pretty complex 1v2C actually, this level. But you can see now I unlocked the Fire Pinecone treasure, and it's going to allow me to break the Mithril block. It's really difficult to sort of be doing everything here, but... shoot that final spider. Grab that minikit. Now we're at 8 minikits right here. So yeah, you can grab all the minikits in this section really fast, but it was a pretty difficult 1v2C. Now we're just gonna go up to the top. So now, we are going to get 2 more kits in this level. One is breaking these 3 purple flowers that you can see, and then another is in the final section, which is shooting a bunch of orcs with bows. Oops. So yeah, we completely skipped this section of the story, but it's just a lot faster to play through in free play. Now we're gonna use this elf to shoot these 3 guys, and that's gonna give us the final minikit for this level. And there used to be a soft block that I thought was unavoidable here, but I figured out what caused it. So thankfully we don't have to reset here anymore, which means you can actually continue without saving, which would save a lot of time. So now, we're going to play this level for a really important reason, and that's to get a scuba helmet, which is really important for flies and spiders free play. And then after this, the level that you play, the order that you play these levels doesn't really matter. I just do it out of the ones that are most likely to make you have to reset. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the routing. Oops. So yep, the kits in this level is kind of tricky to 1v2C. This jump is kind of hard. So now we can do a little parkouring to skip. That. Grab that second kit, swap to a wizard here so we can do a boost in this next room. Alright, now we're gonna hit this target, grab this mini kit, and then go into here. And then this sort of maze cave, again, we skipped all of this level earlier. So, yeah, I guess we've never seen this before, but it's a lot faster just to grab all these in free play. And we're gonna do a boost right here. Skip this gap. Nice. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, we got the respawn. That's cool. But yeah, you can damage boost across that gap right there. And now we have the bat section, which we unfortunately can't skip in this category. But basically we're gonna complete we're gonna heal this bat right here and then do a little sequence in order to, yeah, take us to the next area. Yep, just a couple Minikits left. Wanna grab that? A lot of two cutscenes here. This one is, this kit is a little annoying. There's not actually, like, really any ways to skip any of these sections, which kind of is unfortunate, which is why it's nice to have the level skip in story. So, yep, one more mini kit in this last section, so... So what we're going to do is we're going to do, I mean, what we did in the... It's the same thing as what we did in the last time we were here. We're just going to jump down. Skip this area, and then we can skip being in the forced crawl section where you have to sort of hug yourself against the wall. And that'll allow us to get this last mini kit quite a bit faster. I didn't check, but I don't think I forgot one. I did not. Alright. On the doorstep, free play is next.
Can I pop in for a quick donation here?
Yep, that sounds good.
Alright, we have $36 from We Super saying, thanks everyone for a fun event. Thanks Justin for that money, and also thank you so much for restreaming the first 2 days of this event. Couldn't have happened without you, so we really appreciate that.
The company had arrived at the main gates of the one.
So this level right here is known to be by far one of the hardest to 1v2c in this category. There is a lot that you have to do. Just a lot of different things to focus on, and it's really hard to be able to do both at the same time. So I change to another character here. Yeah, it's really easy. This is a kind of a poorly designed mini kit that I'm trying to do here. It barely works. But we managed to get it. Basically, you have to drop directional inputs in order to get it, which is really frustrating, but... Alright, we're gonna do a desync launch to climb all the way to the top of the mountain right here. We're gonna change into Toriel, because she's gonna make it really convenient to rush these last couple mini kits. And also activating this camera pan will warp the other player to the top. There we go. And then we're gonna do some backflip wall climbing to get up that little collision there, which is a lot faster than using the thing that you're supposed to, which is a pretty long puzzle. So yep, now we're trying to just 1v2c, collecting all these kits. Did I forget one? Oh wait, no I didn't. You can jump on some invisible collision there. And now we are going to buddy up to collect this last one. Alright. So that's on the doorstep. Next, we will be doing Greatest Kingdom in Middle Earth Freeplay, which is the first level. This one is pretty cool because you get to do gem skip. It has some pretty cool routing and stuff.
My liege, our king asks you to go and oversee today's mining operation.
In this first room, we have to hit 5 birds.
Built deep within the mountain itself, the beauty of this fortress city was legend.
That will get us that kit. And now we're going to do the same VSync launch that we did in the first 10 seconds of the run. So now we're going to see a pretty cool free play only boost here. It'll take us straight to this area right there. Give it a lot of time. It's a cool movement optimization. And it's really nice because we get to use Toriel's really fast attack animations. So we're going to collect a lot of Minikits in this next room right here.
Wealth lay in the earth, in precious gems hewn from rock, and in great seams of gold running.
We're going to break this to build a panel that we can use our fire pine cone on in order to set it on fire. That's what's so nice about the fire pine cone. It can do a lot of different things. It can blow up mithril objects, it can light up dark areas, and it can set stuff on fire, which is very useful. Now we do gem skip there. Skip the transition, just like, or the, not the transition, but the camera pan trigger, just like we did earlier. And now we are going to get a bunch of, hit a bunch of these sort of hanging baskets. And, these, give you a mini kit when you break them. You have to hit each one 3 times, which is a little annoying, but not that bad. Now we're going to grab this kit right here, be ready to go into the transition with this person. And then we got one more mini kit right here, because we collected basically all the end ones in story, which is really nice. So we're going to dig this up right here. And grab this last mini kit from below. Unfortunately, that one isn't active earlier. Otherwise, if you could get that in story by like jumping off or something, it would save a decent amount. Alright, we're just going to go in order now. We're going to select an elf in this level, because usually you wouldn't get an elf in your character wheel, and it saves a lot of time, because you can do some unintended jumps. But this level is going to have a lot of 1-2-CC. So yeah, we're getting a lot of mini kits here. There are a couple that you get with a gnome by breaking some gnomes. You get some by healing a goat. And that should be all of them in this section right here. So one that we're going to get, since you don't usually have an elf in your roster, since it's not needed, you don't usually get one, but you can just jump into, that one. And, yeah. As you can see, a lot of these kits are just, 1-2-2-C. Just trying to speed up getting both of them at once. A lot of them are really hard, but it's very rewarding when you do it well, because it saves quite a bit of time. That's the last mini kit there. Alright, Azog the Defiler next. This is one of my favorites, because you can skip most of it even while you're getting all the mini kits.
After a long journey through the Shire and
you can skip through most of this just by jumping with an elf. You can skip using the arrows since they get really slow animations. Now we're going to go into this bonus room right here. So yeah, we're going to get quite a few mini kits in here. We're going to be doing a couple skips too. That one actually skips a pretty decently long puzzle. We're going to grab that one, and then we're going to get a couple from breaking some statues. There's one in this dark room over here. And then you can get this one as an elf, just by doing a little jump skip right there. And that's that whole section done right there. Collected 6 Minikits basically instantly. So now we're gonna enter the second section. Yeah, so it's really nice because we don't have to beat that part of the story, or that part in free play. That part of the story in free play. We can just enter the next area. Save and exit as soon as we're done. And that's what's really unique about this All Minikits run. Get this Minikit right here. And we're going to do the same buddy up launch that we did in story. So we will likely die with both players. Yep. That was a good one, right there. Perfect. Alright, so we're going to get a couple of these by using our bow. Get this last one right here. And there's one behind this axe plate, and that puts us at 10. That's a really quick level, and it's a really fun one. Now we have roast mutton coming up, which is a very difficult one to learn PCC well.
The company took shelter for the night in the deserted ruin.
Mutton yesterday, mutton today, and blind. If it don't look like mutton
So the first thing that we're going to do is enter this bonus room. This room has a lot of Minikits in it. Oops. Now we're going to drop down. We've collected everything there, and we're going to try to do the same launch that we did in story. It doesn't always work that well, but we're going to give it a go. I might just try to go one at a time to boost my FPS. Doesn't seem to be working. There we go. But yeah, as you can see, I'm using that flail. Oops.
I hope you're gonna gut these nags.
That's
I
not
don't
good.
like the stinky parts.
Using the flail to move a lot more quickly. I did not get to break the skeleton here. So I have to go back and do that, because one of the mini kits that we get is breaking all these skeletons.
Oh, that's lovely, that is. A floater. Oh, might improve the flavour.
There we go. Now we're gonna come over here. And we have to do this because there is a skeleton behind this gate. And this is one of the last mini kits.
I'm starving. Are we having horse tonight or what? Shut your cake up. You'll eat what will give
So we're
you.
gonna grab that kit right there, and then 2 more. Only one left in this section.
Tastes the same. Everything tastes like chicken.
Use the flail to boost our way over to this last one. And that puts us at 9, and we just have 1 more to grab on this level. This one is really quick to grab.
The company took shelter for the night in the deserted ruin.
Jump into the cave and grab that. And that's roast mutton done. So, yep, we have about a third of the free play splits done.
The wisdom of Gandalf is seldom incorrect.
We're gonna pull that one down with the flail. Grab that kid away from, I think, what was a spider. Grab that kit, and then we have just 1 more here that we're gonna grab with LEGOless to skip a couple animations. And that's all for that section. And we got all of the kits in the second section, so now we're just going straight to this one.
The wisdom of Gandalf is seldom incorrect.
Do some parkour up some invisible little puzzles. Light this on fire. And this one definitely is impossible in story because it requires 3 things that you don't have in story. So unless this kit is stored active and out of bounds, we will likely never be able to get it in story. This kit here is a little annoying, but it's not too bad. There's a little bit of RNG. No fun. No, that's not what we want. There we go. I will probably miss both of these, yep. Yep. That's about right for this kit. Get them blanking for no reason. There we go. That's the last kit for that level. Overhill and Underhill free play now.
Undeterred by the advice of the elves and the white.
This is interesting because you can't just skip through all of it since there are kits on the top and bottom that you need to get. So you also don't have more than one character, so you can't do a lot of buddy up launches. So you have to play some of it casually, although there are a lot of little skips in between. And this is another one of the levels where you don't actually get an elf as a default character, but it saves a lot of time to have one, as you can do some jumps that save a lot of time, skip some things. Break that skeleton. We're gonna overlap these two things here. And now just one more kit right here. You have to use this cart to break these three panels on the rock piece. This is very difficult because it's terrible to drive. Now we can do a cool jump on these little out of bounds walls all the way around and to the next area, which is a lot faster than saving and exiting out. And now we're going to launch up to the top, same as we did in story, but this time we're going to go into this bonus room right here. Jump up to this top area. And we grabbed 3 kits in here, I believe. Alright. So unfortunately, this kit at the very end of the level isn't, collectible. Oh boy, that was a big launch. Not collectible until, the very end, so we couldn't get it in story. Oop. Did not mean to do that, but not much I can do. Luckily, we can jump straight back up. Thankfully, that's something we used to do, so I knew about that backup. So now I'm just going to jump to the end, and then keep this guy as Sauron, because you need Sauron to spawn closer to the kit. Because only Sauron can collect this kit. Now we're just going to double jump back down to this end of the arm. And there we go. Alright, so we have a really long level coming up right here. Goblin Town free play. This one, it's like a
Wrench
6-7
and
minute split
exhausted.
because it's just such a long level. Oops. Now we're gonna grab that and back click wall climb up this wall, which can be a little difficult, but should get it in a sec. Whatever, I'll just do the alt-tab launch. Now, yeah, we're gonna do the same catapult skip that we did last time. Drop this guy back in. We're gonna break this mushroom. One more, and then we're done with this area. Come on. This jump can be a little dumb sometimes. That's weird. There we go. Alright. That was a little slow, but it's not a big deal. This kit right here is one of the hardest. But if we can get it quickly, I think we can get it quickly.
Wrenched and
Will be really cool.
exhausted.
So usually, or as you saw in story, you have to kill 10 orcs before the Goblin King moves out of the way. You have to kill 10 orcs before the Goblin King moves out of the way. But if you launch over him with that, you can not activate the cutscene and all that. Break that and grab the Minikit, which is pretty cool. And now we go into the last section, which is pretty intense. There's a lot of Minikit grabs going on. I shouldn't have dropped in player 2 there. Don't know why I did.
Wrenched and exhausted. You can jump around all these. And we're going to jump across this gap just like we did in the story. No Minikits yet, but it's going to change compared to story right up here. That was not a very good one. Now what we're going to do is we are going to jump
we missed the jump, but let's us skip this section and we're gonna come in bounds right here. And we are gonna grab this Star Kit. Then we can jump back down, hopefully avoiding a camera pan trigger, which I just did. And we can lower a ladder that'll let us crouch. But since we don't have two people, you can't actually use the ladder, so I'm going to do an alternate skip instead, which is to jump on here and then jump around an invisible wall. We're going to do some kind of tricky 1-2C here. Oop. So we're not going to do Goblin Town this skip this time because it unloads the Minikits, and you don't actually want to do that because obviously you need to collect the Minikits for this category. So what we're going to do is we're going to get player 2 as far or as close to the intended trigger as possible while I collect these targets, which these targets are terrible. Basically, you can do the same out of bounds, but we're just going to hit this trigger this time. And now we're going to do some tricky movement to collect a Bilbo Wraith kit right here. So basically, you can walk around an invisible wall right there. Grab this kit without doing a bunch of the story, but now we have a pretty tricky jump. We need to jump around an invisible wall, which is only possible on 30 FPS, or you can do it on other FPS, but it's way easier on 30. But basically we're just trying to do a pretty precise maneuvering. And we made it back up to the top, because you're basically walled in there, but using that chair you can kind of bypass it. Now we're just going to hover over here, and you can kind of see what all the textures look like that you were supposed to hit earlier. But yeah, basically they were all unloaded, so we jumped past them and was able to walk straight to the trigger. But now there's a bunch of orcs and puzzles in the way. 3 more Minikits left. So what we're going to do is we're going to stand on here. That, I know, but usually when you stand on the meatball, you can get pushed. It looks kind of like a meatball or whatever it is, a giant boulder. You can get kind of pushed forward by it. We're going to change these to off here again to get a better load. Don't know what that's about. This kit can be a tiny bit finicky over here on the left side. Hopefully this guy leaves. Did not quite grab this kit fast enough. But that's 10 kits for Goblin Town right there. Very long split. And then we'll do queer lodgings now. But I did miss this kit in auto-scroller, so I have to grab this real quick, which you usually wouldn't do in a run, but obviously you need to grab. Now we can exit out. now we enter this last section of the level. And we want to pick an elf, because this is the last level that doesn't give you an elf when it saves time. What we're going to do here is we're going to try to overlap a camera pan with me falling into this trigger so we don't have to watch it later. So we're going to stand on this and slide it in. Oh, slightly missed it. Yeah, you slid off and not into the area. So we don't have to beat the level normally at all. We just gotta head over to here, and we are just gonna grab that mini kit right there. We're gonna create this door over to a bonus room. Not what I wanted to do there. And we're gonna get a couple mini kits, one from breaking the bears, one from digging something up, which I just did, and then one from shooting this target. Save and exit that, and we got all the mini kits there. Next we have flies and spiders, which is a pretty difficult one, but actually, I'm going to do inside information right now. Because I'm kind of making up this order as I go.
The company passed into the mountain.
It doesn't really matter what I do since I'm not doing an actual run anyways. Alright, so we're going to jump up here. And we're going to get this guy to collect this mini kit. And drop them out, and then we can do the boost. We're going to grab this mini kit right here. Now we can actually use this guy with a flail to skip all of this. As you can see, just the movement with this thing is so fast. Alright. One last mini kit to grab in this level, and that's it. Because, just like the first level, we grabbed all of the kits at the very end of the level. So, it just keeps the very beginning short and sweet. We're going to do a different version of the chandelier skip right here. We're going to boost him over with a timed flail attack. And then we are going to do the same boost that we did in the story. Oops. Now we're going to use a wizard to get this last one. You have to be super careful not to activate this last cutscene here, because if you do, it loses you 1 minute and 40 seconds. So that's inside info. And now we'll do flies. We'll do warm welcome now. Yes, warm welcome.
Smuggled into Lake Town unarmed, the company...
grab this. Got the target. Grab this Minikit over here. Oh, I messed. I pressed the wrong button. Now we're gonna hit this door right here. Grab that. Now we have one kit in this second section. And then 2 kits in the third. Although the third has a really hard launch, which you'll see in a little bit. But it's really cool and it saves a bunch of time.
Smuggled into Lake Town unarmed, the company...
Alright. Now we just hope that this last launch here goes really well. This is a really, honestly, like, it's not that bad of a run, which I'm kind of surprised by.
Smuggled into Lake Town unarmed.
Do I have time to sneak in a quick donation here?
Yep.
Which is $25 from Cam. No message, but thank you very much, Cam. Appreciate the donation.
So here we're doing a launch off of a fish barrel. It's actually really hard because it's kind of blind movement and you need to land on a really small tightrope. But it skips a whole phase of the fight and having to kill a bunch of orcs, which makes it really good if you get it quickly. Just one Minikit left. I think I can drop him out there and he'll actually warp straight to me, but that doesn't really matter. Just one Minikit left to go. Alright. Yep, so this is the last Minikit right here. This is the only slingshot thing in the game that you have to hit 5 times, which I find a little interesting, because most of the other ones you just hit 3, but I guess they just wanted you to spam at that one a little longer. But anyway, that's the last one for that level. And now we have barrels out of bombs, and this is the only section that we have to play for this level.
Infiltrating the halls of the elves is a risk.
So we're gonna use the barrel to carry the elf over here early, which I think is a pretty fun skip. And yep, we're gonna grab 4 kits here. We're gonna put that because we actually need it for later in order to yeah, we need that for later in order to, it's impossible to get a certain kit unless you activate that camera ban for some reason.
accidentally activated that fight there, but... Oops. Alright, there we go. Alright, just 2 more splits to go, unless I'm mistaken, but I think I'm right. Flies and spiders. This level has some pretty cool 1p2c right here. Can jump right past this here. I'm gonna change to VSync 30 FPS here and do the launch that we did earlier. And meanwhile, we're gonna collect the owls with player 2. Oh, there, it's like. There we go. Now we're going to change to 30 FPS for 2 reasons. One is a jump with, oops, I forgot an owl, whatever. I will grab that with this other guy. One is a jump with that character right there, and another is a jump that I'm going to do with player 1 here in a second. So we'll put that player right there. And with 30 FPS, you can actually jump straight through the water for some reason. The water that's supposed to kill you. If you land in just the right spot here. And now I'm going to use this to launch. I'm just going to be right here ready to activate the trigger. I constantly forget this one. It's a little annoying. So now, I'm going to put on the scuba helmet that I got earlier. This will save a lot of time here because it allows me to use the elf to jump over all these gaps. Without having to fight any of the spiders, which is really cool. Now I'm gonna hit this right here. And I already collected the kit right here, so I don't have to worry about that. So I'm gonna put the scuba helmet back on, and I'm also gonna give myself the flaming pine cone because it splash damage helps you. The splash damage helps you destroy the target spiders a lot easier. Oh, I don't need to change VSync. I forgot. You can just jump in free play. Yeah, you can just jump this gap, which is really nice. But yeah, you can destroy this spider with splash damage from the fire pine cone. Here, and I'm gonna do a launch. up top here. Oh. This launch is really hard. I'll get it in a sec. There we go. Now we're gonna go over here, grab this kit. Grab this guy out. Oh, we need the... Grab that, and then do this. So now we have some pretty lengthy hits right here. Walk in here. Take 2 quests, get some mini kits, and then we're gonna go back out into the main room. And the reason we do the stuff in the main room first is to spawn in some spiders so that they're already falling from the sky by the time that we are back in here. You can see, yeah, there are 3 red spiders already out here. Yep, just gotta get these, and then there's just one more level left. Sometimes a spider can get stuck up here, so you have to jump up and land him. And you just want to fail it, because otherwise it activates the camera can. There we go.
Alright, I'm going to cut in with a pair of donations that we just got. It looks like 2 people had the same idea pretty much right at the same time. So we got $76 from Anonymous with the note, "Thank you all for fun, entertainment, and a very nice time with LEGO games," which was enough to just barely put us over the goal of 2,000. And then basically right at the same time, we got $75 from Sean Burke. So thank you both so much, bringing our total up to $2,076 and breaking our marathon goal right at the last minute here. We really appreciate all the donations from everybody.
Right, so right in the last split here, we have to get just a couple kits now. We have 2 rooms left. We have to hit a couple targets, hit a buddy up panel, light up a dark cave, and then go into one final room. And then we will be done. This kit here. One more buddy up panel. Last one of the run. Right here. Alright. And now we got 7, right? Yep. last VSync launch. Alright, we're gonna put on the scuba helmet here to build this mini kit. We're gonna jump into this room. Oh, looks like I jumped off. Alright, one more mini kit. And time. That's it right there. Now we just go through the pause screen right here. And make sure it says 160. Yep. Yeah, that's the run. I don't really have many thank yous to say. I guess mainly the super mods, just for making sure this is a thing, and everybody that helped with this. I really appreciate it, and it was fun to watch and be a part of, but mainly to watch. Watching it was really fun. Just all the different varieties of runs. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope everybody enjoyed watching it. I really enjoyed putting a route together and everything.